Hey everyone, welcome back to my review of Grimdark Future, which we've got some miniatures on display here and a little bit of terrain. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to break down our review, of course, in two parts again. Now, just to give you a quick heads up, there will be no campaign portion in this review. I'm going to do a separate video. If you prefer me to do two separate videos, drop a like here. If you prefer to have the campaign rolled into the review, then leave a comment and let me know. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? So, I think we've got an introduction from someone, do we, Rennie? Yeah, we do. Okay. It's not some nut job with blue face paint again, is it? Okay. Yeah, supposedly we have a reasonable person, is what I've just been told. Hey, here we go.
Oh, take that, you filthy orc. Ah, ha ha, another elf to put me axe to. Ha, ha, ha 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 ha. Ah, it's me, Flint, Rustbeard, Dwarf Captain Extraordinaire for the Sapphire Guild. Now, I'm here to introduce you to the Cirrus Sector and Grimdark Future. Now in Grimdark Future, you'll of course meet dwarves. You'll meet various shades of crappy human, including super soldiers. Now I have nothing against humans, they still fall to me axe. And then of course, you will meet various crappy elves as well, both in the high and dark variety, and you'll meet lizards and rat people. But you may be thinking, Flinty, is that all you do? You just kill living things, is that it? No, sometimes I kill the undead and sometimes I even kill robots. But the point is that the killing is good and the mining is fun. Now, will you join me in the Cirrus Sector or will you be one of me victims?
I mean, he was more reasonable. He wasn't a raving lunatic this time. Still, hopefully we get some better introduction people at some point. Anyway, let's So, the setting of Grimdark Future. So we're not going to do a massive deep dive on this because they're still working on the lore, but I'll give you a quick rundown of sort of where we are in Grimdark Future. So basically, we start on Earth. And we've got this great guy called the Founder. And the Founder has basically ushered in an era of science and technology. But there's an issue. Not everyone likes the Founder. In fact, the Founder can be a bit of a dick. So a couple of small groups of humans who want to escape the yoke of the Founder steal his flagship, and they sail off into the galaxy. The problem is that the Founder doesn't really like this, and so he follows these rebels and ends up running smack dab into a wormhole. Now, the wormhole is kind of like the warp to catch people up, and so both ships go through. The issue is that they're both damaged in the travel, and the Founder ends up dead after the warp travel, basically. But it's alright, he has a backup clone called the Conduit who takes his place. The issue is they're now stranded. And where are they stranded? Well, they're stranded in a little place called the Cirrus Sector. And this is where the story of Grimdark Future takes place. So, the rebels manage to escape and set up shop. And the Conduit and his Battle Brother factions, so they're super soldiers, which also covers Custodians and the Prime Brother factions, set up shop in their own little part. And then this leftover sort of pocket of humanity, they go off and they sort of start doing their own thing. And some of them form the Machine Cult. Some of them go off and decide to become real religious bros and start worshipping the God Queen. And she has an army of women called the Blessed Sisters, who also have another arm of the Inquisition. And then finally, all the leftover sort of dregs ended up starting to make their own communities, their own nations. The kings popped up, warlords happened, and eventually they all kind of formed together under one sort of defense pact called the Human Defense Force. And these guys just basically look out for each other and make sure that the founder / conduit can't take away any of their freedoms. So, like a loose group. And of course, when they got to the Sirius sector, they weren't alone. There were people inhabiting it. The nomadic dwarves and elves, separate factions. Then the elves also include the elven jesters and the dark elf raiders, as well as the high elf fleets. We have the robot legions, who once were the servants of the high elves, but rebelled against them. And of course we have orcs and goblins, even though goblins, they're not exactly one for one. The goblins actually work with the humans to sort of fend off some of the other factions. And then, of course, we have our friends, the alien hives, which just want to devour everything. So that's a bit of a primer for the setting we're sort of in. Each faction does have their own little lore pocket. But honestly, I could spend even if I spend 5 minutes on each faction, this would be like a 2-hour long video. There's 26 factions, and they all have their own little pocket of lore that goes with them. And it is being updated, so this is why I didn't want to do a massive deep dive on the setting, because at the end of the day, the setting is what you make of it. Grimdark Future is a model agnostic game. If you want to make your own background up for the game, you can do that. But as of 3rd edition, they are coming out, they're putting their own lore down, and it's just really cool to see they're developing it, and they're definitely stepping in a different direction from Games Workshop. There are some similar stuff left over from the DNA of they basically made a game that was free Warhammer, for lack of a better description. But each edition, they're getting further and further away from Warhammer as a sort of baseline concept. So it's really cool. I like the setting. I think it's cool. It's got its own little take on it. It is a little bit more generic than 40k, but I kind of like the fact that it's not quite as dark as 40k. Like there tends to be, there's definitely grim and dark, but there tends to be that bit of light in Grimdark Future that I actually sort of like. It's like that, that little ray of hope, that little dot of hope, and I feel like that little dot of hope in 40k is like near non-existent. What do you need for Grimdark Future? Well, first things first, you need some miniatures. They do have a range of miniatures for one-page rules, so that's pretty cool. You can 3D print them, or you can get them 3D printed. I think they are actually selling them as boxes now, so that is an option. So that's pretty cool. All these guys over here, so my dwarves, are one-page miniatures. So that's a 1-page. These guys. And these Battle Brothers over here are all from a guy called Garmark. So I'll link both of them. Garmark makes some just beautiful miniatures. So I think these Battle Brother style ones are really cool. I can't remember what he's called them, but they're different enough from Space Marines that you're pretty safe, and they're just really, really fun. What else do we need, though? Because miniatures are only one point of it. And really, at the end of the day, you need something to represent miniatures, right? So, as long as they're on bases, it doesn't matter what they are. You could stick gummy bears to bases and use them as units. I wouldn't recommend that, but you can do it. You'll need some terrain pieces, of course, which you can just use flat terrain. Like, you can just, print a picture, stick that on the board. So, that's what you'll need. You also need, of course, this is my box of goodies. So you'll need some D6s. Very important. You'll need some activation tokens. I just use these gems. If you've seen my on the go video, you'd probably already know that. You'll need some tokens. I've got one for Shaken, which is just a little white flag. And I've got one for Tired, which is just this little frowny face. So when you fight, you are tired. So when you fight in close combat, you become fatigued. And it makes it harder for you to continually fight in close combats. So I've got them. I also got some magic coin tokens, but I just use dice now, but I did print them. You'll need, of course, a tape measure. And you also need some objective markers, which I'll just grab one at random here. This is one from One Page Rules, actually. It's a dwarf one. It's just a chest with a pick. And you'll need something to represent you capturing them. So I have flags that I've just painted. If you've seen my on the go video, you pretty much know all the stuff I've got in here. But that's what you'll need in order to actually play Grimdark Future. That should pretty much cover it. Oh, of course, a copy of the rules. That's a big one. My rulebook is around somewhere. I don't have it on me right this second, but I will pop a picture of that up somewhere around here. And that pretty much covers what you'll need to play. We've gone over what we need now, so let's go over sort of how we structure the game. So, step one is that each round, so there's 4 rounds per game. You can play more, but generally it's 4. And then in each round, each player gets a turn, of course, and then to break that down further, each player gets to activate units at least once. And the activation goes, you go, I go. Sorry, it's alternating, yeah. So for example, say I want to activate these unit guys here, activate them, they do everything, and then I put a token next to them. And then it's the dwarf player's turn. Say I want to activate these guys, and they shoot those guys. Well, you know, same thing. And then it goes back to the other player's turn, and we do this, the other player's activation until we've activated everything, and then the turn is over. And that also ends the round. Whoever finishes their turn first goes first. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, okay, so you activate a unit. What can you do? And that's a good question. So basically, it really boils down to 4 things that you're able to do. So the first thing you can do is, of course, move. Now, moving is pretty straightforward. Everything moves 6 inches unless it has one of the movement rules. So the movement rules are as follows: slow, fast, and very fast. So in this particular case, slow means that you move 2 inches less than the regular movement of 6. So you move 4. Fast is 2 inches more, and then very fast is 2 inches more again. So basically it's 4, 6, 8, 10. Now the second thing you can also do is you can choose to rush/charge. So basically what you do is you double your movement, whatever that happens to be at. So if it's 4, it's 8, 10, 6, it's 12, etc., etc., until you get all the way up to 20, of course. Now if you rush, you can't do anything else for the turn. You just rush forward. You can still seize objectives and stuff like that, which is important. And then, of course, you have... What about a charge, though? Well, same thing. You double your movement, and if your guys come within an inch of an enemy unit, they count as charged. Easy. The next action is hold. Hold may not sound very exciting, and that's because it isn't. You just stay still, and then you can do something else, like shoot, generally. I know that many of you might think, well, why would I hold then? That seems a bit silly. Like, what, I just stand still and do nothing? Some special abilities are triggered from holding. Otherwise, it's, really not that great of an ability. And then finally, we have shoot. And your guys simply shoot using their whatever their stats of their weapons are. And that's pretty much it. They are the actions that you're able to do. Now, there are a couple of additional actions, but because we're only going to cover the basic rules in this particular video, that's all we'll be talking about today. We may cover some additional stuff at a later date, but I just want to get the basic rules out as a review. But there are more advanced rules that you can take advantage of that make the game, more well-rounded. Not as quite simplistic as some people might put it. So, anyway, what's the goal? Like, what's my goal in the game? I know how my guys act now, but what's my overall goal? Well, basically, it's pretty much based on scenario, but most of the time, it's objective play. So you just got to seize objectives. Now, unlike other war games, when you seize an objective, you hold it until the enemy seizes it back from you. So you can keep moving on forward. And then generally, the person who holds the most objectives at the end of the game is the winner. Yay! But of course, we can't really go forward without going over the stat blocks. These are the important things. These are what tells you how your units function. Without stats, you really can't understand how to play the game. Well, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to show a simple Battle Brother stat block here. I was about to go here, but no, we're going to go here. So on this side. So it'll pop up now. So basically, as you've probably seen, there's only two stats there, which are quality and defense. So let's get a quick explanation of that. So obviously, you've got the name of the unit, you've got the points cost of the unit, important, and then you got quality and you got defense. So quality is pretty simple. It's how effective you guys are hitting. This is what it needs to roll over to hit. It's also morale. So if he needs to take a morale check, he needs to roll above this number. So as you can understand, having a low quality is very good. Like, if you got quality of 2, you great. Then the next one is, of course, defense. Defense is pretty straightforward. When someone hits you, you roll a defense roll, minus AP if the weapon has it. And if you manage to roll equal to or over the defense, you have successfully defended. Yes, that's right. I know some of you there are clutching your pearls. You're going, oh, what about strength and toughness, fams? How am I meant to know how effective my gun is at shooting someone in half without strength and toughness? Yeah, this got 86th. I know. I was the same. I understand. I get it. When I first heard that strength and toughness was dropped, I was like, whoa, how the hell does this function? But honestly, not having to do strength and toughness makes the game so much quicker. You can fit 2 or 3 games of Grimdark Future in one game of Warhammer. And it's mostly because the strength and toughness is gone, which is kind of crazy. I mean, just that additional roll per time. Yeah. Then, below our friend quality and defense, we have special abilities. Now, these will actually change a lot of things. There are a lot of special abilities which I'm going to cover in its own special separate video. I'm going to make a bit of a tier list for all the different abilities, and we'll cover them then. But I will cover some relevant ones in this video. But there's a lot of them. There's like 30 standard abilities, and then there's a couple of... There's probably about 10 or 20 army-based abilities that are similar offshoots to regular abilities, but do function slightly differently. So right now, we'll cover this one, Fearless. What the hell is Fearless? Okay, so basically when you roll a quality check, if you fail it, Fearless gives you another chance to pass it, but not at your regular quality. No, you gotta get a 4 or better. Which, funnily enough, depending on what unit you've got, if they've got Fearless, the 4+ reroll is actually better than their initial roll. But for this Battle Brother, as you can see, he's got quality 3, so it's actually worse. But you've got 2 chances. You got a 66% chance to pass, and a 50% chance to then pass a check, which you may think, well, surely that doesn't really come into it much. You'd be surprised how many times I have seen my son's Battle Brothers pass a check because he needed to do a reroll and he rolled successfully. So it's actually a pretty decent ability. And then finally below that we have their weapons. So you'll see that the Battle Brother has a heavy rifle. And weapons pretty much come down to range. So that's in inches, of course. Then you've got your attacks. So the number of attacks it does. So in this case it's 1. AP, how much it minuses from someone's defense roll. In this case it's 1 as well because it's a heavy rifle. Then we also have abilities, basically, the traits of the gun. Now, this gun has no traits. But there are a few traits that you can get weapons. Poison, for example, one of them, which is anytime you roll a 6 on an armor save, you have to re-roll. And anytime... And it ignores regeneration. And then there's rending. Anytime you roll a 6 on an attack, it counts as AP 4. These are just a couple of examples of traits that weapons can have. And then, of course, we've got our close combat weapon. As you can see, it's got a blank for range. That's how we know it's close combat. It's got 1 attack, no AP, no special abilities. So it's not a very fancy thing, but it can be used. All these are done at the quality level. And some guys will have special quality if they shoot or close combat attack. For example, all orcs have the ability Bad Shot, which means they always hit. They're always -1 to hit. So whatever their quality is, say their quality is 3, say they're really good at fighting, they're actually quality 4 to shoot instead. And then the other guys, the Dao Union, Dao Union, D-A-O Union, which are basically our Tao guys. These guys, they have good shots, so they're quality 4 in close combat, but they actually hit on 3s at ranged, for example. So some units will sort of have additional negatives and bonuses, but this is an uncommon thing. Generally, your quality is your quality and it's flat. The other thing to remember is that in this game is that dice rolls, they always succeed on a 6 and they always miss on a 1. So you can never automatically hit and you can never automatically bypass someone's defense. Even if their defense would drop below 6, it does not. So that's something to also keep in mind. And that's pretty good. So what I reckon we'll do here now, that I've sort of gone over the stat block, what we'll talk about is we're going to do a mock little turn to show off each one of the actions. So let's get into it. Okay, so we've got some raiders from the Prime Brothers factions here. We're just going to count them as regular raiders. No fancy, any other fancy brothers. And then we've got some miners here from Dwarf guilds. Now, in order to show off how this thing works, we're going to start with the miners. So first, of course, they move. So they can move 4 inches because they're slow. So we'll move them up 4 inches. And then they're going to shoot with their iron pistols into our buddies here. Now, they also have a flamethrower that I've built, that I've put on for them. So we've got 4 iron pistols and a flamethrower, which we'll use. Actually, we'll do red for flamethrower, and we'll do 4 iron pistols. So, the flamethrower is reliable in blast. So what does this mean? Reliable means it hits on 2s. There are special ways to lower this, but for the most part, it's always on 2s. Blast is that it hits each person in the squad once, covering that number. So in this case, blast 3. So as long as there's 3 people in the squad, it'll hit each one of them once. If there's less than that, like so say there's only 2 of them left, it only hit twice. If there's 5 of them, it still only hits 3 times. So we'll just roll the dice here. Whoop. Alright, so the flamethrower hits, that's great. And then these 2 hit because they're quality 4. So, then we have the raiders defending. Now, with the flamethrower, they get 3 saves. So we'll do the 3 saves here. So they need 3s or better. And they fail one of them. So one of them dies. So we'll take this guy here. And then we've got 2 iron pistol shots. And we're looking at getting... We're looking at getting 4s on this one because they're AP1. So both pass. Look at that.
What kind of shooting was that? That's why you don't send miners to do a captain's job.
Not too shabby for the Raiders there. They only lost one guy. Now, if they had lost 3 guys, they'd have to take a leadership check. So, which, if you're not in close combat, when you fail a leadership check, you become shaken. Which basically means the only thing you can do is unshake yourself. That's it. Anyway, now that we've seen move and shoot, it would now be the end of that. So I would activate that unit. So we'll place an activation token near them. I'll put it on this side so that people can see. So we know that unit's activated. Then it's the Knight Brothers' turn. So they go in. Now, as I've said, they move 6. Now they could shoot, but they're not going to. They're going to charge, because that's what they do. So 12 inches, definitely in range. And in they go. Boom, boom, boom. Now, these fellas have 6 remaining close combat weapons. Sorry, 3 close combat weapons, which gives me 6 dice. But they also have a heavy chainsword, which is 4 additional dice. Now, you may have noticed that they have some special rules. Fearless, of course, we've explained before. But the big one is Furious. Strider doesn't really matter in this situation. Strider makes it so you ignore negative terrain effects. But in this scenario, Furious does mean something. Furious is whenever you roll a 6 on a charge to hit, you hit twice. Okay, so these guys hit on 4s. So we got there, and then we got 1 less here, but we rolled a 6, so we'll put that one back. So that means we've got 6 close combat weapon hits and a heavy chainsword hit. So the miners have to do a 6+ save to begin with, so let's get that one out of the way, because their defense is 5, so 1 gone. And then he's got to make 6 5+ saves. Oh, which he actually didn't do too bad. So another 3 go down. 2, 3. Now you might be thinking, what, are these guys all pile in now? No, that's it. Oh, actually, first we get 1 close combat attack back. Oh, it's a hit on a 4. So we'll do a defense roll, and we're looking for a 3 or better. Yeah, they're fine. So, no, at the end of combat, what happens is that they are placed an inch apart, and they are now fatigued, which I have these little tokens of frowny faces to show that they're fatigued. What does fatigued mean? It means if they fight again in close combat, they only hit on 6s. Even if they have reliable, they still only hit on 6s. So, that's basically where that would end. So, this token, of course, is over here. And then, let's place a yellow token down for these guys to know that they're finished. But, here's the other kicker. This guy, now, being under half strength, has to take a leadership check. So, he needs to get a 4 or better. If he fails, he is destroyed. So, he fails. He's gone, he's destroyed, he leaves the battlefield, and these guys can consolidate up to 3 inches in any direction.
That's the problem when you're using a pickaxe instead of a real one. Ah!
And that's that turn. So now, of course, we're 1 unit down, but that's fine. And that's pretty much how a turn would play out. Now, obviously, if you are shooting at different things, you know, you have cover and stuff like that. In fact, what if we quickly do another quick little battle here? So we now have bikes versus snipers up in this one here. These guys are dwarf snipers. So how do we do that? Well, let's do the snipers first, shall we? So the snipers get 3 attacks, 1 for each one of their guns. Now, because they have sniper, they hit on 2s. So we'll roll. Whoop, we've missed 1. So that is a shame. So that's 2 hits on the bikes. Now, these snipers have AP 1, I believe. So the bikes will then roll 2 saves. They pass 1 automatically, and they take a wound. Now, Because, of course, these are bikes, they have additional health, so we'll use this pink dice and we'll represent the one that took damage. Now it's our friend's turn, our bikers. So they get 6 autogun shots and they get 6 shotgun shots because I believe they're within range. Yep. Now they hit on 4s. Well, that's not too shabby. So they hit on 4s. Now, both guns are -1 AP, which means these fellas up here, they have a defense of 2, but it goes to 3 because of their roll, their defense, the AP. But they're in cover, so they actually get +1 to their defense roll. So it just sticks at 2. So they got 2 here. And 1 still drops dead, sadly. But 1 out of 6, 1 out of 3 ain't bad, really. It's the opposite of the Meatloaf song. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But instead it's, 1 out of 3. The Dwarves would be singing 2 out of 3 ain't bad if they killed 2 of them. And that's pretty much how cover works. Obviously, different cover, different things. If these guys were down here behind the building, for example, the bikes wouldn't have been able to shoot them at all because I can't see them. So yeah, that's pretty much how a activation plays out. So that's how we do activations. And then, of course, activations, once you've done all of them, that's your turn over. And then once your opponent has finished their turn as well, that is the end of the round. But at the end of the day, how does this really come into being? Well, so we're going to go over how to create an army, but basically setting up a table. That's what we're looking at here. So here's how it works. You, of course, pick a scenario. You get your army ready. So we'll say for the scenario in this particular one, we'll just go with the standard scenario of seize the objectives. We'll say there's 5 objectives just to make life a bit easier. And then we, of course, get our armies. We set up our deployment zones. We'll say they're regular deployment zones, which is 12 inches either side with a 24-inch gap in the middle where the objectives are. And that's pretty much it. And then you roll off to see who goes first, and then, whoever wins, say I win. What I do is I place my first unit down, you then place yours down, and vice versa, until we get to the point where there's no more units to place down. Now, there's 2 things that alter this particular little dance of placing units. The first one is an ability called Scout. Scout basically lets you deploy 12 inches outside of your deployment zone with that unit, so basically halfway up the battlefield, and they are deployed after everything else. So once you've deployed all your guys on the table, you then take your scouts and they go forward. But then there's the next one, ambush, or deep strike as some people might know it. And these units are placed to the side, and they can come in from turn 2 onwards. Now, unlike some other games where you have to roll to see if they come in, they just automatically come in. As soon as you decide to do it, just like deploying your troops, you deploy them prior to the turn beginning, basically. So once round 1 ends, you then have a gap for deep striking ambush units. We'll just call it ambush because that's what it's called. Ambushing units, and then round 2 begins once you finish placing that unit. I hear you. What happens if my opponent also has an ambush unit? Hey, Vamps, you got an ambush unit, but I've got an ambush unit as well. So how does that play out? Pretty simple. Whoever would have initiative places their unit first, followed by then the person who doesn't have initiative, until all the ambush units that we want to place are placed. Of course, say I have 2 ambush units and you have 1. Maybe I only want to play 1 on turn 2, and I want to play my next one on turn 3. Completely legit. That's fine. You can do that. Not a worry. And then, of course, the game begins, and we go for our turns, and we go for our activations, our turns, and our rounds until the final player, until we finish round 4. Once round 4 is finished, we then work out who wins by whatever victory conditions happen to be. Maybe it's a certain amount of victory points, which is generally how it's played. Maybe we're going for annihilation. Maybe we just want to see who wipes the other one off the board most effectively. Or maybe it's whoever holds the most objectives. Or maybe it's a combination, because you can get these special objective cards that then add additional objectives. So, it might be a case of you hold 3 of the main objectives on the board at the end of the game, but I successfully completed 6 victory points of cards, and you only got 2. So with my 2 plus 6, 8, and then you do yours, and you go 1, 2, 3, plus 3 is whatever. And of course, you can choose to have different objective markers be different victory points. So maybe in this scenario, you actually have 7 victory points because the middle objective marker is worth 2 or something like that. It's really based on how you want to sort of play the game at that point. Oh. Well, Rennie, what's going on? Another sponsorship. Okay, yeah, sure, no worries. Is it the guy who was just on earlier in the video? I don't know, man. Hey, fine. Hey, everyone. We've got another sponsorship this week from the Sapphire Guild. Let's see what they're all about.
Hello, Captain Flint Rustbeard here. I hear you're wanting to join the Sapphire Guild, and that's great. We're always looking for new recruits. If you're a dwarf, you will be fast-tracked to a nice cushy backline job of shooting your enemies from extreme range. If you are, on the other hand, a human or an elf or some kind of rat man, we have a great job for you. Perfect views from the front lines. The first into the mines and the last out. And hazard pay. If you are worried about money and you want to see a fantastic future, come and join the Sapphire League. Or else.
Rennie, mate, Rennie. What's going on? You do realize who lives on Earth, right? Who lives on Earth? Yeah, that's right, humans. Yeah, good job. The humans, yes. And this guy just said, come join my army and we'll use you as cannon fodder and slaves to the mine. Okay, sorry. Extremely forced labor. You do get paid. My apologies. Speaking of which, like, why would I support this? Like, what was our pay? 50 sapphires and chest. How big are they? That's quite big. Join the Sapphire Guild today. And if you use my code, you'll get an extra sapphire in your first paycheck. The code is... Seriously. Vamps yearns for the mines. So, terrain. Because that's the next big thing, right? We have to look at terrain because it does change things. So there are a few pieces of terrain that sort of change how the battlefield goes. So I'll just go through a quick list of them. So first we got open terrain. That's this bit of the table. This part right here. There's no terrain basically, right? You can't get any bonuses from it, but it's important. The next piece is impassable terrain. So, for example, these things. You can't move through the piece of terrain. You have to move around the piece of terrain. So, not anything too crazy. Then we, of course, have blocking terrain, which, of course, blocks line of sight. So, impassable terrain and blocking terrain generally have the same properties. They both block and are impassable. So, for example, if I was to take these guys and put them here, they're blocked. You can't see them, you can't shoot them, they can't take damage. And then there's, of course, cover terrain. So the top bit's cover. This building would be cover, for example. You put a guy in the building, they get cover terrain. A unit that is in cover terrain gets +1 to their defense rolls. Nothing too crazy on that particular. Nothing too crazy on that particular, thing. Then, of course, we have difficult terrain. So, a unit that moves in difficult terrain cannot move more than 6 inches from that terrain. So we'll say that this is cover and difficult terrain, which is pretty straightforward. So when I move into that terrain, I can't move further than 6 inches, and when I move out of that terrain, can't move further than 6 inches, even if I was to run through it. Unless, of course, I have Strider, which in that case I just ignore that effect. And then finally we have dangerous terrain. This would be like, quicksand, lava, stuff like that. And basically when your unit moves into it, you roll a dangerous terrain test, and you basically roll 1 dice for each wound that unit has. If that's tough, then they have to roll more dice. And on each one, they take a wound. So obviously moving through dangerous terrain can be bad. Striders, of course, still ignore all terrain penalties, so they can just move straight through difficult terrain, no problem. And obviously anything that flies also ignores all terrain, but that's basically how each bit of terrain sort of works. So now that we've done that, let's move on to the next part. Okay, everyone, so I was saying that I'm going to show you how to build an army, so here we go. So this is the Army Forge app, which is a digital app that you can get on any website, any web-based stuff that you can get. So we're just going to show you how to do it. So as you can see, you've got all our games here. Sorry, it's not showing up my mouse. That's fine. Got all the games here, so we'll just go Grimdark Future. There we go, now my mouse is up. And then I'm just going to go with a simple Battle Brothers list, just to give you the idea on what we're looking at here. So let's make a straightforward Battle Brother list. So we go create new list. Bingo. Here we go. There it is right there. We're going to click force organization. You don't have to. It's really up to you how you do. We'll just do a 2,000 point list. We'll go create list, and here we go. Here's the page. So we've got our heroes here, then core units, vehicles and monsters, artillery, titans, and aircraft. So this is all we've got. We'll just make a real quick, dirty 2,000 point army. So let's go. I want to do a Master Brother. I'll put a Master Destroyer in as well. We'll sort of get that going. Let's have a look here. So I want to do some assault guys. Yeah. So we'll get our destroyers. We'll pop them in. Let's do some standard Battle Brothers. Yep, cool. Let's chuck some bikes in. That sounds cool. And what about let's do an attack walker, so a dreadnought. We'll see how we go with this. We should be able to fit one more unit in. So we've got our Master Destroyer here. We want to join him to our destroyers. Bang. So as you can see, these two units now linked. Our Master Brother will link with our Battle Brothers. Bang. There we go. Alright, so our Master Destroyer will take, let's take War Chant. We'll give him dual energy claws. We'll go for a close combat build on these guys. We'll also give them all dual energy claws. So now we've got our dual energy claw squad. Master Brother will go for a let's make him sort of like a librarian. That sounds pretty cool. And then we'll actually we should give him some better weapons. Let's give him a storm rifle. What else have we got here? And I don't generally what I like to do is I don't like to make units that sort of do half a job each. I like to go, let's get a unit that does a full job by itself. Let's give him medical training. That gives him a little bit of give him a boost, give him regen, and then we'll replace one of our heavy rifles with let's go with a heavy machine gun. Yeah, that's good. So we got a bit of an anti-infantry sort of one going on here. Actually, maybe we might actually put a laser cannon in, actually. Yeah, cool. Alright, we've got our Bike Brothers. I think we'll just stick with them the way they are. We'll just use them as sort of a harassing force. We've got our Attack Walker. Alright, let's see. So he's got twin heavy flamer and a stomp. Let's give him a heavy minigun, I think. Give him a little bit of a oomph. And he's got his Walker Fist. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Alright. So we've got a bit of room. Let's get some real anti-tank stuff sort of going on here. So maybe if I take let's take some support brothers. Yep, and I'll give him a missile launcher. Let's give him 2 missile launchers and a laser cannon. Alright, cool. So now we've got like a real anti-tank unit here with pretty good range. And we've still got a bit of room. We've got 280. So what I might do is I might take 2 units of Pathfinders. They're not really gonna. I can't take 2 units of Pathfinders. Well, not 40, but maybe I can look at reducing. Maybe instead of giving these guys, instead of giving these dudes the laser cannon, which is 60 points, maybe if I drop it down to a fusion rifle, a heavy flamer, and maybe a plasma rifle. Gives them a little bit of a deadlier kick, these guys. And then, so yeah, we've got 2 units of Pathfinders. We've got 10 points. What I could do is I could give one of them stealth. Yeah, that works. You know what? Let's just make the Battle Brothers. Let's just give them all that, and then we'll give both Pathfinder units stealth. Yeah, so there we go. There's our 2,000 points. We've got 7 units. So we've got 2 units of Pathfinders, which are really going to hold objectives. That's basically their goal. We've got a unit of Battle Brothers who are just going to sort of do Battle Brothery things. We've got the Support Brothers, anti-tank guys. We've got our Destroyers with ambush. So they're going to be jumping into the back line, ripping people up. We've got our Bikers who can also just sort of get some scouts going, as well as just deal some decent damage to things. And then we've got our Attack Walker who just really wants to mess people up. Is there anything? No, and that's our 2,000 points. That's good. Quick, dirty list. And that's how you make a list in this app. And then you just click this eye up here, bang, click that. And you get your list right here. So you get a nice, easy list. It's got their quality, it's got their defense, and we're all good to go. Done. That's it, guys. Is he gone? Man, where does Rennie keep finding these guys? What the hell is a Flint Rustbeard anyway? So, gameplay. That's what we're here for now. So, how do I feel about the gameplay of this game? It's brilliant. Honestly, it really is. It's fast, it's brutal, and it's strategic. It doesn't tend to get bogged down by a whole lot of special rules that only affect like 1 or 2 armies. Lots of the rules sort of, overlap, but there is also some special army rules, so you still get that bit of flavor, which is quite nice. But I think my favorite thing is that you can just get some miniatures. Doesn't matter what they are. You can slap them down on the table with a friend, and you can just go ahead and play. The best part is that you can get the rules for nothing. You can build an army. That army builder app is free. You don't have to pay anything. So if you and a friend have Warhammer and you're like, well, we sort of want to try some other war games, Grimdark Future is a good place to go to start with. Just have a go at it, even if it's just an hour. Like, it's no joke, a 1,500 point game, 2,000 point game, you're looking at an hour to an hour and a half for those level of games. And if you don't like it, well, that's fine. Like, that's not a problem. We're all different. But the great thing is that even if you're a brand new wargamer, you can spend $5 on getting some paper miniatures from one-page rules, and you can print an army, and you can play with someone. You don't have to go out of your way and buy possibly, $80, $90 worth of plastic to find out that wargaming isn't your bag. So I just think it's fantastic that it's nice and it's straightforward, and it just goes bang, 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 bang. And that's it. Like, I really don't have much else to say from the gameplay. If you played Warhammer, it's a very similar experience. but it's nice and quick, and you know, you just get your friends together, you can focus on the strategy if you wish, and you just sit down, you roll some dice, and the maths is nice and easy. That's it. That's my review on Grimdark Future. I hope you guys liked it. I hope that some people out there can now look at this and go, oh, let's have a go at this, because that's really what I'm aiming for at the end of the day. Is I want more people to try this, because I think it's a great game that gets you into other war games as well. You know, I don't think this is the be all and end all of war games. You're not going to pick up Grimdark Future and go, this is it. This is the game I'm playing for the rest of my life. But it's a great game to go, hey, this is really fun. Let's try some other war games, because there are a lot out there, and I will be covering them on this channel. So, you know, if you have any suggestions or ideas that you want me to have a look at, you know, drop a comment, drop a like if you like this video so that I know I'm doing a good job. And yeah, you know, we're just going to keep moving forward, and I'm hoping that I can cover some more games like this where they're just fun to play, you know, and you get all the miniatures and you can paint them, and yeah, you know, it's just, I just enjoy it. I enjoy it because I can get whatever I want, and I can play however I wish to play. So there will be a video on different abilities in Grimdark Future. I'm going to do a bit of a tier list on that one, so keep an eye out for that. We're going to cover all major abilities. I just think that'll be a cool way to go over each ability, and also if people want to learn more about Grimdark Future, they can watch that video and go, oh, this some of these abilities sound cool, I'd like to play with them. I may also do a bit of a dive on each army at some point, but these will come out sort of periodically. I'll do them probably on Fridays. They won't be a major release. And then, of course, we've got... sorry, I've just got to collect my thoughts. So... and then, of course, we've got our campaign that we're going to do. We have done a few of the missions, but I wanted to get the guys painted up, you know, so that they look decent on camera, and also paint some terrain. I've only got one unit left. I got one unit and a tank left for my Dwarves to do, so yay. The Knight Brothers, which are the Order of St. Nicholas, they are ready, they're done, they're ready to go. The Sapphire Guild, which are the Dwarf guys, they just need 2 more, well, they need 4 more models painted, basically. 3 guys and a tank. Everything else on them is done, though. And then get some of these terrain pieces, well, not these ones in particular, these are the foldable terrain, but I'll get some of the more permanent terrain painted up, even though I might paint the foldable terrain, we'll see. And we'll start doing some videos on the narrative campaign for that one. Also, if you're interested in seeing a Grimdark Future battle report, let me know, which you'll have to do with comments. You know, I don't think this is an effective way to get, you know... Alright, yeah, let's say if I hit 25 likes on this review, I will do a Grimdark Future battle report. We'll figure it out. I might roll some dice, and we'll let randomness decide what armies we'll use. But yeah, so that's all for this one, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the likes and the subscribers and all that stuff. Thank you a lot. And we're going to keep chugging forward, so keep an eye out. We'll have a few more shorts coming out. And this week we will have a war story coming out on Friday, so keep an eye out for that one. It was going to be 2 war stories, but I think I'm going to fuse them into one episode. It's the 5 worst players I've ever played, so that should be a fun one. Alright guys, see yous.
What are you still doing here? The video's over. Oh, I know. You want to ask Flinty a question. Flinty, how are you so good at killing? Well, I'll tell you. What you have to do is you have to like this video, and you have to subscribe. And if you don't, I'll give you first-hand knowledge.